I like it. So we got the arrow to go. Thank you very much for joining us. This is our live edition of GoTo Biz Pros. And we have with us Tim Denker with Denker Law Firm and also LexLaunch.com. We're excited. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be talking about business formation, most particularly the legal stuff. And we almost called this the legal stuff with Tim. And so that's going to be a great deal. But this is part of a series. And we're so excited about this series because we have resources from across Kansas City that are key to starting, launching, and scaling a business. And so, for example, our first GoTo series, and there's about a 15-parter here. Our very first one was solve a problem, find a need, or find a need and solve a problem. That was with Casey SourceLink. We had Jeff with Digital Sandbox on, and he talked about you really have to articulate. And Square One was here, so we know that there's great resources out there. We talked to Adam with Seed, and he talked about the ecosystem here. So there's all these things leading up to a company and a business getting ready to form. And a lot of times what we get, finally, we get those calls in the Innovation Center of, what do I do next? And so really building that team, that professional team, is really key. And I want to thank you for joining us today, but I also want to thank you because you're one of our InTech pros that's really on site to be able to help with that that process for any of those early stage businesses that are coming through. So you're kind of our go-to guy on this. So thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more than happy to join you. And I love talking about this stuff anyway. So.
Well, that's what you're an entrepreneur as well. So that's what LexLaunch.com is.
It is, yeah. So we've set up the website basically to where we can have entrepreneurs or anybody who wants to start up a business, depending on how you define entrepreneur, to be able to go online and set up their LLC through a local attorney. So we're trying to use technology and bring the pricing to be more competitive with the online legal document formation sites, but get people connected so they can establish that relationship, just like you were talking about, with professionals who can help them grow their business the right way.
Well, and what I really like about that, Tim, is you're focused on Missouri and Kansas. So you really do have that specialty here. That you are our specialist. Yes. You really do have that specialty in Missouri law and Kansas law, too. So for the Kansas City region, because we kind of straddle that line, that's a great tool for anyone throughout the state and in this community. So thanks for bringing that to us. You know, one of the questions we get so much is, really, when do I do this? When do I form?
Yeah, and you'd mentioned having Casey SourceLink out and talking about getting the idea and everything. As soon as you have that idea and you are ready to commit to it, form right then. So there is no reason for you to really wait on formation. I mean, our fees are down to a point to where that shouldn't be a deterrent for anybody to form anyway, but really getting the legal advice as far as what type of business you're going to have and being able to kind of bounce ideas off of the attorney and really getting to figure out exactly what type of legal pitfalls could be coming up in the near or even distant future really kind of helps people to better plan their business going forward so they can either stay out of trouble or if they get into trouble, at least reduce it down as far as those additional attorney's fees might go coming down the line.
So really, it's building that professional team. A lot of folks look at that as just a check mark off. Okay, I've got my product. I'm coming in. I'm doing this. But what I hear you say is really when you start that right off, you've got that professional in your corner. You've already established that relationship. So as you grow, no matter what your company is doing, whether you're adding products and services, whether you're bringing in investors, whether you're going to a bank or you're expanding your business, you've got that baseline, and that baseline's already proven because they've worked with an attorney.
Right, absolutely. And I tell every single one of my clients that at the very least they need to have an attorney and a CPA in their corner because they're going to save more money than they're going to actually spend when they use them, even if they don't like paying the bill.
Yeah, there you go. Well, and so a lot of it is deciding to launch. You know, so I've got this business idea. I've been looking at the market. I think the market's proved out. But what's been your experience when people have come to you just in that ideation stage and they're trying to decide? What's been that experience on looking at different legal types and why the LLC, I guess, is the other part of it? For you with LexLaunch and just in general.
Yeah, and honestly, we formed LexLaunch with just the ability to set up LLCs. So we're not doing corporations. We're not going to form any type of partnership for you. Because when it comes down to an LLC, they're very well established in the law these days. Every single state recognizes them. And really what it is, it's a hybrid, and it brings in the best of both worlds from the partnership side and the corporation side. It's got all the flexibility you need. It's a little bit more informal, just like a partnership is, but it also gives you that ability to create that kind of structure, as well as, most importantly, the taxation flexibility, to where you can basically pick how you want to be taxed going into each year and change it based on where the business is. So with that type of flexibility, that's really why we settled in and have said the LLC is the best way to go. And that's probably 9,999 times out of 10,000 when I meet with my clients.
There you go. Yeah. So it's, and that's been our experience too, as people, whether it's technology, whether it's somebody in the kitchen, whether it's a service orientation or what, LLC is 9 out of 10 times they're gonna use that, because you do have that flexibility when you get to the federal level to be able to do. You know, back to the point of do it right away, as soon as you've got that idea and you're ready to go before you do anything else. I was just on a social platform that's a public platform specifically for business, and it's national, and that question came up on there is, when do you form, or when do you actually become a formalized company? And I was stunned that one of the answers was when you hit the 200,000 level. So they were actually taking revenue, and they were, I don't care if it's a buck or if it's 200,000, they were actually taking revenue. Must have been a service oriented business to where they were doing a sole proprietor or something. But oh my goodness, that really surprised me, and so I really appreciate your answer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there are advantages to be informed from a tax perspective just at about the $50,000 level. So I always inform my clients, you might as well just form early to start get some of those limited liability protections, and then as the business grows, you can then adjust taxing going forward. I mean, because you're going to be paying self-employment taxes one way or another, whether you're formed or not. And so being able to do things like electing to be an S corporation, if that is appropriate for your business, is a great option to have going forward.
Yeah, so a lot of our clients at the Innovation Center are kitchen clients, so they have a product that somebody's going to consume.
Sure.
So that's a good structure there, because as you said, it wraps around that. We have other clients that are in research and technology. So for them, they may not have revenue for 2 or 3 years because they're in that research mode, but they need some kind of legal structure anyway.
Right. Yeah, and especially if you're going to have partners, you're not only identifying a legal structure, you're also defining how the business needs to be run. And it's extremely important, no matter what you're doing, to have some sort of agreement in place between you and your partners to define not only just splitting profits and losses, but how is voting going to take place, what management decisions can you do. You're essentially establishing authority for the members and trying to figure out exactly what can and can't be done.
Yeah, so an LLC is a member base. It can be managed by members or managers.
Correct.
And you decide that, and the agreement you're talking about is an operating agreement that's framed for that LLC, and that's really what drives the how you're going to conduct business, and whether you're a single person in that LLC or whether you have partners in there, right? Correct.
Yeah, because every business does need to have an operating agreement, because otherwise you're going to have to be stuck with the de facto laws that the legislators have decided to give an LLC. So, and the bank's going to ask for an operating agreement anyway. And so it is one of those documents that is essential for every single business to run through.
So that's a good point. So it doesn't matter if you're looking, a lot of people out there, especially if they're forming a small business, they may be doing friends and family, or they may be doing it on their own, and they have no intention of going after investment money, but ultimately are going to have to borrow funds to continue to grow, So that's something the bank will need as well. Is that right?
It is. They are going to ask for an operating agreement just to form an account for you.
Okay. Well, is there anything else? As I mentioned earlier, you're that entrepreneur as well, because you've got Denker Law, you've got LexLaunch.com, that's an online service. You've got some executive suites in the office that you have there. So as an entrepreneur, as you were getting ready to launch LexLaunch, what were some of the interesting things, just from an entrepreneurial perspective, that you saw in the process, that you, even though you're an expert at it, that you said, "Ooh, I need to know this"?
Okay. Well, I have a partner on LexLaunch, so a lot of what I got to learn on this side of it, outside of running my own solo practice, was learning how to deal with a partner, how to talk to them, how to get along with stuff, making sure that the communications are going to be completely open, figuring out what great technology is going to be out there so you can have those communications going when you're not in the office together. I mean, there are so many different things that actually come into place that aren't necessarily just a part of the legal side of things. And so it was really, it was an amazing experience for me to get to go through, and just to be able to do that. And it's really strengthened the advice that I give to clients too, because it gives me a much better understanding of where they're coming from, because we've really developed it on a lean startup model. I mean, we haven't put a dime into LexLaunch. It's been basically self-funded as far as everything goes. And but with that also makes us a little bit more aware of how we're spending the money coming through, because of course, as everybody knows, when you're new, there's not a lot of money coming in.
Yeah, that's right. It's grassroots, and you're bootstrapping all the way through the process. So
exactly. So yeah, there was quite a hurdle in learning the technology side, but it's definitely been a very fun process for me.
Yeah, because you've got a product that is not only a technology product that's online and somewhat automated, but part of that is the time with you. So you provide that personal connectivity for within that whole process. So it's not just that you're going on and filling forms out and then it spits them back at you. You've created that relationship that you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the product.
Yeah, and the plan that we offer actually has a couple options on it, so it really fits the level of entrepreneur. So the basic plan essentially is going to come with a 15-minute consultation with me, to where I can kind of run down the piercing the veil, here's the information you need, answer any brief questions that you might have, and then also at a discounted rate from my hourly rate, they can increase that to an hour, and they can sit down and they can talk to me about anything that they want. And if they have nothing to say, we'll talk about the business, and I can definitely fill an hour pretty easily, if you can't tell already.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you for joining us today. We really, really appreciate that. Thanks to Works Lab for allowing us to come into our co-working space and take just a little bit of time to do this. And we look forward to our next Facebook Live is April 5th, and we're going to be joined by Dragonfly Gourmet Foods, pardon me. Really fantastic. Small business, very entrepreneurial, and we're excited to hear from that peer, one of our kitchen clients, about how they market and brand and how they're growing in the marketplace. So that's really cool. Tim, thank you very much again for joining us today, and thank you all as an audience for being out there. You can watch us live, or you can watch us in the comfort of your own home with your dog on your lap and your cat staring at you. However you'd like to do that. Thanks again, and we'll see you later.